Welcome back, everybody, to the weekend show where I'll be breaking down the big mega cap stocks. So, before we get started, please hit that like button, and that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. Now, if you want to go above and beyond, get all types of daily trade ideas, swing trade ideas, live trading, definitely head over to Patreon, and that link will be down below in the description for you guys. And now, let's get right into the market. All right, so welcome back once again. We got lots of things coming up this week, especially Wednesday will be a big one. So if you look at my screen, we got some earnings starting tomorrow morning, like Domino's. Then we have some more earnings on Tuesday, UPS, Coca-Cola. We got Robinhood, Bloom Energy, and then when you look at Wednesday, in the morning, not much. You got car, AB's budget, you got SoFi, but look at right here, guys. The big mega cap, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, QCOM, all that is coming after hour on Tuesday. Then in top of that, we got Caterpillar on Thursday morning. We got Apple after closing, and this penny stock SanDisk as well. Then we got Western Digital, we also have energy stocks like Chevron and ExxonMobil reporting earnings on Friday. Now, if you look at this calendar, what do we got next week? Well, the big one would be on Wednesday. We have FOMC on Wednesday, and we'll hear from Jay Powell, see if there is any changes, but most likely the rates are higher for longer, and there is no cuts until I think somewhere end of 2027. There's some more data, core PC, but I think everybody's looking at Jay Powell on Wednesday, and especially with that big earnings coming up from these big companies. Now, headlines, nothing. Another attempt of shooting at the president, and obviously nothing really happened. Who knows what was the purpose? And there is no deal with Iran, and things are just in the air. And I think market is going to open very soon, which is going to be flat, the futures market. So keep an eye on that. As of Friday, Dow was slightly down. Nasdaq up 1.63%, massive. S&P up 0.80%. These two breaking out to a brand new all-time high. Russell was up slightly 0.41%, advancing 50.3, declining 45.1. Now, when you look at 11 sectors, look at this right here, guys. Technology, consumer cyclical, a lot of the sectors are actually in the red. And when you look at this, this is not actually good. You got risk on top, technology leading the way, but then you have energy right next to it, up over 3%, and even the market was up at that point. Stock market map. Well, the show is right here. Microsoft, especially semiconductor here. Nvidia, AMD was up. I don't think I have seen AMD up $50 in my lifetime in one day. This was massive. Intel, they were the one that actually had earnings, but they all went up. You can see all the even some of the software names went up as well. Amazon, another all-time high, 3.49%. Google up 1.63%. Meta up 2.41%. Tesla up 0.69%. But a lot of these names are red on the day, and the market again putting a brand new all-time high. So we'll see how that goes going into this week. And now let's get right into Apple. On Apple stock, I was down 0.87%. So we got a doji type of candle on Friday, and it actually came down to, I don't know why it's showing 265, but I don't think it was there. But again, we do have support at 265. Underneath that, we do have support at these moving averages, 262 and then 259. And if it breaks that, there will be more downside. To the upside, 272 breaks. We had a rejection. We came back up again, and now we're sitting slightly under that level. If that breaks, you're going to see a quick trip up to 277 and then 280 and possibly into another all-time high. On Microsoft, it's up 2.13%. So we had a nice dip on Microsoft, and now it's pushing higher. And you guys already saw they have earnings coming out Wednesday night. So that's going to be a big one to watch. Maybe we get a big move, a gap up and go to close the gap at 478 from, I think, last earnings. So here on Microsoft, guys, keep an eye on this. If this thing comes back, there will be support right here at 412 to 410, this key zone underneath that 405. If this thing continues, look at this, it's sitting right here above 423 5-day moving average. As long as that holds, we could see continuation towards that high 430 434, and even into higher prices where the Bollinger Band is already there, 443, and into the gap right here on top. On Tesla stock, it's up 0.69%, so not much happening after earnings. This thing came down, but it's holding the 20-day moving average 269. If that does not hold, you'll see a drop down to 262 and possibly even lower into this previous support. To the upside, as long as Tesla can hold a 375, watch out for continuation, possibly into this 50-day moving average 387. Only if that breaks, you're going to see 400 plus on Tesla again. On Meta, it's up 2.41%, and this is one of the play that actually really paid well on Friday because this thing was down to 653. I think I saw it 655-ish, and I took a 0DT on this one, and this one was a lifesaver. This thing paid because you can see it actually made a big move up to 680, almost 81, and then gave back a little bit of gains. So Meta here, guys, if you look at my screen, 669.73, that's going to be a support underneath that 664, and then this trend line here and into the gap possibly 635. If this thing continues and gets over 682, look at the Bollinger Band, it's actually expanded all the way up to 728, so it can possibly go higher if that resistance breaks on Meta to the upside. On Google stock, it's up 1.35%. So Google almost breaking out to possibly a new all-time high. We got over 342, and now if this thing continues with the earnings, we can see 350 plus, and this thing can go. Looks like it's heading up. Google over 342, there will be a little bit more upside. Now, if it breaks below, comes down to 336, watch out for this 5-day moving average. As a matter of fact, I would say 337 to 38 to hold because this will move up over time. Now, underneath that, watch out for some downside pressure down to maybe 328, possibly into this gap because we just on a monster run, gapping up and going, guys. I mean, this is not normal that we do a lot of technical analysis, but this is not something you see every day, especially from the big names and the semiconductors. We're just gapping up and going to all-time highs, and things are just pushing and pushing, and there's no signs of any resting, any pullback, nothing, no higher lows and higher highs. We don't have to crash, but the market is not doing that. Market just going straight up, just like you saw on that stock car, and what happened after that also. On AMD, it's up 14% on the day. So this is one of the play that actually we got on Friday, 0DT, and we talked about it in my video, very risky play. And it was up, I think it was up like 70%, but I wanted more. And then what happened? This thing pushed higher and stopped out right there and never came back. I did not even try for the second time. And this thing did not pay anything, even though SOXXN, some of the other ones paid. This one was not there because it just came down. I think about, you can see, I mean, it wasn't that much. It just came down a little bit and it was green. 0DT, obviously, if the move happens the way you want, you get paid more immediately. But soon as this thing reverses or anything, you got to get out immediately. So AMD here into the blue skies. Is this something anybody wants to chase? I don't think so. New money long on AMD, absolutely pathetic. I mean, where are you gonna sell? Yes, it can go higher, but we all know things that go up like this usually comes down. You just have to wait. So AMD, uh, it seems like this is an exhaustion gap, and I think we're gonna come down and fill this gap. So going into especially tomorrow, Friday's low was 334.54. So that's going to be an area to watch. If this thing gets under that, we might be filling the gap all the way down to 310. That's going to be a big move, and that's going to bring a lot of things with it if that happens. I'm not gonna go under this gap right now because that is a pretty big move if that happens. So see if this thing continues, but if it gets over that 353, we might be going even higher on AMD because it's trading where air is thin and there is nothing here, no volume, nothing you can see. So if this thing wants to run and there is a short squeeze, it can possibly go a little bit higher before coming down and giving up some of those gains. On Amazon stock, it's up 3.49%. So here's another one hitting a brand new, fresh all-time high, and you can see how it's pushing. Uh, you know, it looks like it wants to go higher. But Amazon here, even though it's pushing, this is kind of a move that I like. We had a nice drawdown, it's going up. At least we had some degree of a pullback on its way up. Here we got a little bit of pullback down here. If you wanted to get in, it was there. Something was it was at least there. But some of the other names, absolutely nothing. So if we come back in, 254 will be a level to watch. Right up here, 254, 255, the 5-day moving average, and of course, previous all-time high at 258. These are going to be two levels to watch on a pullback. If this thing continues, well, here's your next stop around 275 to the upside, and that's going to be another fresh new all-time high. On Nvidia stock, it's at 4.32%. So Nvidia also breaking out, and this thing just had a few days of consolidation here, and now you can see. I mean, we were not too far off from all-time highs on Friday. So if this thing wants to run, and I think what's happening, just a lot of FOMO buying here. This does not make any sense. It's not like we had earnings or a massive catalyst or anything crazy going on. Nothing going on. What happened here on Nvidia and some of the other names? Okay, Intel reporting earnings, it went up. Then AMD went up. So what happened here? Well, Nvidia was especially when you look at it, it had a run up, but it's not an all-time high. So I think the FOMO kicked in and like, okay, this is the cheapest one now. Let's just buy this one up. And FOMO buying is just crazy. And that FOMO led to that big rally on Friday. So Nvidia, if it breaks over that previous all-time high, we can expect more upside. But look at the market cap, guys. Over $5 trillion of market cap. That is a massive, market cap here. The biggest company on earth. I don't know if that's going to stay on for too long or how long, but we'll see. How the move, happens. But you can see a bunch of gaps here downside. Earnings are not gonna be here until another few weeks, and the stock is already at almost all-time highs. If we get a pullback, this is where look for the support, possibly buying opportunity. If you're day trading, I would not recommend going long here, even though it could be some sort of a breakout like AMD. If that happens, you got to put a strict stop loss and play this back up to the upside. But 2 or 3 breaks, we might be pulling back in, and this is just going to be a fake out. Also, keep that in mind on a weekly time frame or even daily. There is some concern of a double top. If that's the case, we might see a little bit of push, maybe a little bit more up here, and we get into a new all-time high, and then pull back and just rug pull out of everybody that is buying into this FOMO. So if this thing gets under 203, the gap is filled, and now we have unfinished business down here, bunch of gaps. I'm not saying all these gaps has to get filled, but I think we'll see some sort of a retracement back down here on Nvidia. On Broadcom, it's up 0.67%. So this one actually came down quite a bit. We did not fill the gap, went right back up, and you can see it's holding well over that previous all-time high support. So that 413 was holding intraday, and I think I got to put a line right up here so you can see better. That was the previous all-time high right here. So 413. We did undershoot that level by a little bit on Friday, but things went right back up. So if this thing stays up where it's staying right now, 422.76, it can possibly continue over 430 and going to a brand new all-time high. You get a pullback, 413, first level of support, and then down here, guys, right here at 402, 403, the gap. Underneath that, we could be pulling back even deeper into that 387 area, into the possibly this gap, 382. And you can see the MACD here just going straight up. There is no signs of any, coming down or getting a bearish cross to the downside. Nothing like that. So, I mean, semiconductor, that's the only thing that is actually taking this market to all-time high in Nasdaq 100. So, things just don't go up forever. and without any significant catalyst, just because what happened. Just to give you guys a reminder, do you guys remember what happened to SLB or silver, gold, GDX, or gold itself? Every day was similar move, right? Gap up and go, gap up and go. Shortage. Oh, China's not gonna let any silver out. What happened to the recent one after that? Chevron, Oxy, and most of the energy stocks, they were going to the moon, right? Non-stop every day up, gapping up, right? What happened now? So just because things go up like this, we have seen these moves before. Maybe not exactly like this because SOXS, SOXX was up 18 days in a row, and that is a historic. Nobody have ever seen that. Even the stock market, I don't think anybody have seen this without any sort of a pullback. Nothing. We're just going straight up to all-time high. Monthly, quarterly expected move. We're sitting outside of those moves, and the month is about to get over, but the quarter just got started, and we're already outside. So just because we're going up like this, that does not mean that we have to go and chase everything now. And Netflix, it was actually down 0.41%, and it's holding that 92 zone pretty well right here. You can see, or 91.7 right here. But if this thing does not hold, there's going to be a little bit more downside. And maybe we come in and fill this gap down here. To the upside, 94.19 breaks. You're going to see a little bit of continuation up to 97 and possibly even higher. And that's all I have for you guys in this video. Thank you so much for watching.